Now let's turn our attention to cumulative frequencies and cumulative relative frequency distributions. So a cumulative frequency distribution is another variation of a frequency distribution. And in this type of distribution, the frequency of each class is the sum of the frequencies for that class and all the previous classes. Remember, the word sum means we're adding. A cumulative relative frequency distribution is a distribution where the relative frequency of each class is the sum of the relative frequencies for that class and all the previous classes. So, for example, if we have the following data representing the number of U.S. residents aged 25 to 74 who earned a bachelor's degree or higher in 2013, use the table, the second table, to create a cumulative frequency and relative frequency distribution of the data. So, you see, instead of naming our first class 25 to 34, we're calling it less than 35. And that's because 35 is the beginning of our second class. For our cumulative frequency distribution, our second class says less than 45, and that's because 45 is the third class's lower limit. So that's how we determine the classes. And then for cumulative frequency, we just add up all the previous classes, the frequencies. So for less than 35, there's just that class we're in and nothing before it. So that's 14,481. For less than 45, we have to take the second class and add the previous class, which was the less than 35. So we take the 14,481 and add 14,155 to it. So let's see, 14,481 plus 14,155, and that's going to equal what we have. And I'm going to erase that because I just don't have the room here. So that is 28,636. Okay. For less than 55, we add the third class plus the second class plus the first class. So the first class plus the second class we already have. So now we just take that number and add in the third class. So that gives us 42,438. Now we take that one, that cumulative frequency, and add the fourth class frequency. So we take the 42,438, add 12,121, and we have 54,559. And adding in the last class, we end up with 61,568. One thing that we should notice is this final frequency and the cumulative frequency should always be the same as the total frequency. So in this case, if we added up all the frequencies we have in our original table, it should always equal the same number as is in the final class of the cumulative frequency distribution. Now, how do we do the relative cumulative frequency distribution? Well, we just take the cumulative frequency and divide by the total. So for the first one, it's 14,481 divided by 61,568. And that gives us approximately 0.2352. When we do 28,636 divided by the total, we get 0.4651. The next relative cumulative frequency is 0.6893. The fourth one is 0.8862. And the last one is 1. The final class of the relative cumulative frequency distribution should always equal 1. So that's how we do these. We will end this video here and pick up in the next video with section 2.4, which talks about how graphs can mislead us and can misrepresent what's going on.